Thank you for joining us today for Cape Chronicle. I'm Mike Renick. We have several guests in the studio. First, Cape Girardeau's Mayor Stacy is here with an update from the city. Next, we'll talk about Special Olympics with the Polar Plunge and Torch Run coordinators. And finally, today we'll talk with local experts on the effect of screen time on our kids. That's all ahead next on Cape Chronicle.
Every day,
millions of people
are connecting.
Father,
cosplayer,
Mentor,
actor. It's time we take a step forward, come together,
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Welcome to Cape Chronicle. I'm Mike Renick. 2022 was a busy year in Cape, and 2023 is shaping up to be a big year too. Here to discuss, Mayor Stacy Kinder. Mayor, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Your first time on Cape Chronicle.
Glad to be here.
So as we said leading in, 2022 was busy.
Yes.
2023, I'm sure off to a big start.
That's right.
You get
a lot of plans.
You get that holiday break and you think you can breathe, but not really.
Nope. 1st of January rolls around and it's right back at it.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick look at some of the big things from 2022, and then we'll jump into 23 and look and see what's ahead. I know people are always wanting to know about public safety.
Right.
You know, that is a huge piece to our city.
Right.
And I know that many things were done in 2022 to make the public safer.
Yes, exactly right. We one thing in our budget was to pump up our employee salaries. Also adjust the salary structure. So that alone, I think, is going to yield some great results. Already has. In our police and fire departments, we've seen some additions in our staff. Numbers were getting a little low, and certainly we always need more. We're going to keep working on that. But just those changes alone have been beneficial. And then last year, we invested quite a bit in some technology. Namely the ShotSpotter technology that has really been already proven to be very helpful to our police department in terms of knowing what our officers are arriving to, helping them better figure out, right on the scene, what's going on, who's done what they need to be looking out for. We hope to enhance that, expand that even more this coming year in terms of the geographical areas that we're providing that. And then also we're going to introduce some license plate, automatic license plate reader technology that again is a bit of a reactive thing that our police department will have to something else to help them solve crime and see what happened. But the proactive issues are important too. And I know our police department is looking forward to getting back to some community events that they've done in the past, had to shut down for COVID, but also some getting into some partnerships that hopefully we think will yield some great results in terms of seeing the crime not happen in the first place.
Sure.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
One thing we're very excited about with the police department is the fact that they've partnered with some social service agencies here in town to allow some mental health professionals to actually be with them in certain instances to help intervene when they know there's a concern that where somebody might involve some drug or mental health issues at the time, and hopefully that will first of all be help our police department deal with a situation in a much better way right at the moment, but then also ultimately the goal would be to help that person perhaps avoid just getting thrown in jail, but be directed to some helpful services.
The technology that you're speaking of, I'm sure there's many more ways that you could embrace technology, but you really have to. You want to equip them to be able to find the bad guys, stop the bad guys, and that's what is capable right now, to a degree, with the Cape PD.
Yeah. Well, and the ShotSpotter technology, we've already seen some great benefits for our police department in terms of, again, knowing what they're arriving in, and then being able to locate the perpetrators.
So we have a lot to cover, because we could talk about that for forever. Let's talk a bit about, you talked about adding personnel with fire and police. I know in 2022 there was a new employee pay scale, and continuing to look at that in 2023.
Yes, absolutely, and that, like I said, that applies certainly to public safety forces, but even our Parks Department and our Public Works Department saw some gaps in their staffing, as many businesses and municipalities across the country are as well. But you know, for example, in our Park Department, if we don't have enough maintenance people, for example, we can't use the facility or have it, you know, open for the public. Lifeguards. We have several aquatic centers here in Cape, a pool, Cape Splash. We're adding another pool this year, and you know, if we don't have lifeguards, adequate numbers of lifeguards, we're not going to be able to provide those facilities and services for the community. So that is it's a very important issue across the board in all of our departments.
And let's face it, obviously you hear, we were talking before we started, you know, you hear oftentimes from people who wish, you know, this would get fixed or that could happen, but you need people to do that.
Absolutely right, and that was definitely the theme last year, and continuing to be the theme this year. Our staff and our employees, if we don't have a good staff and an adequate staff, none of these things will happen. And so it's a complicated issue. It's an expensive issue, but it's one that we feel is very important. We also spent a good chunk of our ARPA funding to enhance our retirement package, get that to the highest level we possibly can, and I think that's going to yield some good results too.
Have a couple minutes left, and there's a ballot issue in April on recreational marijuana sales tax. Proposed, it's a yes or no vote for the city of Cape, and proposed a 3% sales tax on top of what the already sales tax is. Yes, correct. That will be a decision our voters can choose if we want to see an additional 3% retail sales tax applied to recreational marijuana products. And of course, that would only be applied to the purchasers of those of those products. But it's something that the law, when passed, allowed municipalities to put forth, and so that's all we're doing. It will be on the April ballot, and you know, we're encouraging people to vote yes. That money will be applied to the city's general fund. We estimate at this point it might be an annual $150,000 or so. Time will tell, you know, how that goes. But what we also want to do is target up to a quarter of that to go to our police department to deal with, as we mentioned before, drug and mental health issues. So that's something we want the public to understand too, that we place so much importance on the interactions that our police department is seeing with those who are experiencing drug and mental health problems, that we hope to direct a portion of the marijuana sales tax to that purpose. We're out of time, Mayor. Okay. It's gone fast. It has gone fast. Thank you so much. Thank you. Been talking with Mayor Stacy Kinder of Cape Girardeau. Next, we'll take the plunge with Special Olympics. Stay tuned. More to come. We could do
People think that online degrees are very daunting and they're very nervous because it's in your hands. But it actually gives you the power and the flexibility to be able to complete those tasks whenever you have the time to do it. I definitely wish SEMO keeps expanding those online degrees because they're beneficial. They made or break my career.
You're not going to get it all right. Just
Welcome back to Cape Chronicle. I'm Mike Renick. Special Olympics provides training in Olympic-style sports to children and adults with intellectual disabilities. We have Penny Williams and Corporal Johnny Spencer here to tell you more about ways to support the Special Olympics. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So I know coming up, it's pretty fitting that there's snow on the ground.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the polar plunge is coming up February 4th. Is that correct?
February 4th.
February the 4th. Okay. And this year's theme is disco. Is that right?
Put your boogie shoes on. Come join us.
Are you going to be dressing up?
Yes, sir.
Both of you?
I will be.
You will be.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
All right. So Polar Plunge. I know you raised, was it $65,000 last year? I think.
We had a great year last year. Yes, raising $65,000 last year for the program. And this is our biggest fundraiser that we do for Special Olympics.
Okay. So tell me a bit about how it works, how you get involved.
It's easy. It's easy. You just got to commit to coming out and jumping in the cold water. So
well, that's easy.
Yeah, right. And it's fun. It's all in fun. And like you said, we have a theme this year, and it's put your boogie shoes on, come disco with Special Olympics, and you're plunging into water. You can go to our website and register now, or you can show up that day. Registration starts at noon at Cape County Park North.
Okay.
And just be a part of a fun initiative that raises money for a lot of good people.
So you will be on the plunge?
Yes, sir. Our police officers have created a team for police officers, their friends and family. Myself, along with other individuals, will be taking the plunge as well.
Fantastic. So talk a bit about the Special Olympics program. You know, it's amazing. Work. I know you're Penny. I know you both are both very involved. You know, what better way to help than with Special Olympics?
That's right. You know, in our area, we serve 1,100 athletes in the southeast area, over 14 counties. You know, everybody deserves an opportunity to be a part of a team and to go and train and compete. But Special Olympics is that, and it's so much more. Now we've opened a Training for Life campus in Jefferson City, Missouri, and our athletes get to, go up there several times a year. Not only do they go for training and for competition, but they also get to see medical professionals. They get to get glasses. They get to get anything physically that inhibits them in any way. They have an opportunity with Special Olympics to rectify those things. So it is a program that is initiated through sports, but also does so much more.
So I know with the Polar Plunge, is there also a 5K run?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. We're talking about our strut, right,
Yes,
Corporal?
Polar strut that morning.
So it's a 5K Polar strut.
There's also a 1 mile fun walk run that goes along with that. It's at 9 a.m. that morning.
That's
and
right.
I believe you can, just like on the website, you can sign up, as well as 8:15 that morning you can on-site registration, but it's just a different aspect to help support Special Olympics. They give somebody else that may not want to jump in polar waters during those temperatures a different way to come out and help a great cause.
So all those chickens can come out and do the, if you're not a polar bear and you're a chicken, then come out and do the strut.
I think you're kind of like calling people out right there.
Well, maybe.
So what's considered getting in? Like is there like you have to like put your toes in, you can get out, you have to like fully go in?
There's no requirements
Okay,
anymore.
all
Yeah,
right.
but
Did there used to be?
most people wanted to. You didn't really plunge unless you got your hair wet. But we've moved beyond that now. If you just come out there, you want to donate your money and you want to put your toe in, you may get harassed by some people out there that fully plunge, but you're welcome to do that as well.
And I know there are some, you can win some awards, right?
Absolutely, yeah. There's incentives based upon however much you raise. Anywhere from $1,000 get you a nice robe with a bear on it. And these bears are coveted. You know, not everybody gets to tout that they're a polar bear. So there's some distinction with that. And there's hats and there's other incentive levels as well. But yeah, check out our website. You'll get all the information about that.
And that is SEMO.org.
www.somo.org/plunge, specifically if you want to learn about the polar plunge.
I was reading on that website, and I think I saw that there are about 10 events going on statewide around that same time, and there's $1 million goal.
Absolutely. And you know, we're so proud because Special Olympics is law enforcement's charity of choice.
Right.
And they initiate the polar plunges all across the state of Missouri.
Okay.
So it started in Lake of the Ozarks. And I laugh now because when they said, you need to do one in Cape Girardeau, I said, there's no way we'll get people to jump in freezing cold weather in February in Cape Girardeau. But people have embraced it here. Yeah. And of course, law enforcement's behind it, student counselors are behind it. So we get a lot of participation from a lot of businesses in the community. And it's just a fun way to come out and support our program.
I was going to, as you were saying that, I bet it's a great team builder for businesses, offices, churches.
Fraternities, sororities, everybody. And it's really, like I said, it's something to brag about.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to say I'm a polar bear, and not everybody can. So, yep, you get to do it by raising a minimum of $75, and you get a T-shirt for doing that, a long sleeve T-shirt. So.
Okay. Is there any age requirement for this?
10 years of age. They have to be 10 years old in order to do it.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also want to talk about the torch run. That's in May, is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's in May. Again, it's an additional charity to help support Special Olympics. We do the torch run in May. We do tip-a-cops throughout the year where we go to various restaurants. We will act as a server and essentially serve you while you donate to Special Olympians. I think we also do Cop on Top, which is where we stand on top of roofs of various businesses throughout the day. So there's multiple different ways to participate and support this great cause.
And that will come through Cape Girardeau then in May?
Correct. Yes, we do. It's a little over a 4-mile run down Kings Highway. You'll notice because we'll have traffic blocked off as we're running, but sometimes we even have Special Olympians participate with us in that run. So it's awesome.
Fantastic. Well, Penny, Corporal Spencer, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You can learn more about Special Olympics at SEMO.org/SE. To end our show, we'll talk about the effect of screen time on kids of today. That's next on Cape Chronicle.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."
Welcome back to Cape Chronicle. I'm Mike Renick. How much screen time is too much for today's kids? To answer our questions today, we have Dr. Paige Northern and Dr. Shawn Forrest Guiling from the University Department of Psychology and Counseling. Doctors, welcome. And this is a big topic. You know, actually, all three of these today, we could have had, very, very long shows about. And we were talking about, about this before the show started today. Let's just jump right in. So, with today's technology, screens are everywhere, whether it be for recreational use, or even, in the classroom setting, being used a lot. So, is there too much? What is too much? Answer that for us. Answer that for a dad.
Those are some good questions, and as it turns out, for kids under 3, most medical professionals recommend that they don't have any screen time at all because it's related to some detrimental outcomes with attention or with language learning. With kids older than 3, they only recommend that kids get 1 hour of screen time for entertainment purposes, and that's supervised by an adult who can regulate what content it is and how much content. So really, when you consider it, the recommendation is much lower than probably what a lot of kids are exposed to entertainment-wise with technology.
So do we know on average what most kids are exposed to?
Some showed like 4.5 hours a day. Some had 7.5 hours a day. They didn't necessarily parse out what types of screen that was.
Sure.
But if you're talking 1 hour of what they would suspect is best versus 7.5 that you're spending, they would consider that pretty problematic.
And when you say 1 hour, is that any type of screen? So TV, tablet, phone, anything that is a screen is considered in that 1 hour or less threshold?
Yeah, for the most part, the idea was that if you can break all that up into 10 or 15-minute increments and sprinkle it throughout the day, that would be best. So they weren't even suggesting, or the idea is not to suggest that it should be 1 full hour. It should be small amounts that they would digest. They would then talk over with their parent. They would interact with someone who's going to make the content understandable for the child.
So is the reason for that time, is it because they're not socializing? It's keeping them from, having conversations with people and developing, social skills. They're isolated, or is it just what, the screen physically does and mentally does to them by using that as their entertainment for so long?
It's both.
Yeah, those are some good questions.
All the above, huh?
Yes, and especially within the early years, so from birth all the way up till 3, till 5, there's a lot of developmental milestones that are happening with language development, with physical development and movement. And one of the drawbacks to having too much exposure to screens is that that's taking away from other activities that kids could be doing to meet those developmental milestones. So for example, when it comes to language development, what's really important is having the conversations like we are now with
Sure.
actually talking face to face with someone. When a child's in front of a screen too much, they're just not learning those nuances of communication, so there can be the language types of delays. Or even with attention, having that lost sustained attention because they're so used to a screen rapidly presenting information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so those are definitely some concerns there.
I know we don't want to, the technology has obviously done wonderful things, so, not trying to obviously, bash screens, used for many who are nonverbal. There's wonderful uses for screens done in the right way. As a parent, I notice anxiety from my child when they aren't able to use their screen. That's got to be something that you guys see as, this is these are the byproducts of too much time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yesterday I got in the mail continuing education for smartphone addiction. So they're definitely recognizing those things. So the way to keep that from happening is to prevent it as much as possible ahead of time. So the idea of providing small amounts of time and having sort of planned set times when they will use it, so they're not thinking, I must continue. You know, they have this set time frame, and then they get used to that habit. Of course, that requires the parent to follow through and be consistent. But then the more they understand this is my time, then they can realize, okay, now this is not my time, so I can detach from it and feel less anxious about using it.
Kind of like many parenting tips, set your routine.
Right.
And then stick to it. Yeah. Much on peer pressure from some that don't have let's say a smartphone or a screen. I would imagine that there are some, obviously, maybe high on the Christmas list a lot of times is I want a phone. Is there peer pressure in place to get a phone or get a screen of some sort?
That's a good question. I don't know the data for sure, but I would say probably yes. I mean, especially with how much technology has just become integrated into our lives and with how important social media is for kids now. There has to be some pressure for kids as well as parents too. It's hard when you have your kid coming home and they're talking about what this kid has or this type of tablet. There can be pressure on the parent side too to give in and let your child have certain technology.
Sure.
But it's not all bad. As a parent of a 4-year-old, some of it just has to do with the type of content that's being viewed on screens. So things that feature pro-social behavior, Sesame Street, being able to sit with your kid and walk through different interactions that are happening if you're watching a TV show. Those things are actually good. It's more of just maybe the type of content that's being viewed through the screen.
And I think about that isolation piece. Like you just said, if you're there with them, a learning experience. When they kind of become isolated, that to me that's scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some research that suggests that the more isolated you are, the less you spend time with other human beings, the lower empathy that you might develop, and so then that's problematic for future relationships you build with other kids.
Well, we got to wrap up. Again, I'm sure we could talk about this for a long time, but thank you guys both for being here. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That will do it today for Cape Chronicle. Thank you for joining us. This program is a collaboration between the Department of Mass Media at Southeast Missouri State University and the City of Cape Girardeau. I'm Mike Renick. Our producer is our executive producer, Eun Jeong Lee. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.